Camphill Community Trust, situated in Otse village, started in 1974, at a time when there was very little being done in Botswana for people with learning difficulties and related disabilities.
Camphill was started to make a first attempt at addressing that problem of how to provide good quality education and training for children and young people with learning disabilities.
From very small beginnings, with just 4 children back in 1974, the institution has since grown and developed, currently having a primary school providing residential care and education for 60 children, as well as Otse Wabadire training, which offers post-primary education and job training.
So it started in a very modest way, in a very small way, with very limited funding and other resources, basically by Werner and Roswitha Groth, who are my parents. And they came over from England to start this place. They came from another Camphill where they were working before.
The kind of learners that we admit into our program are learners with disabilities, with varied disabilities of course, and some of them have autism spectrum, and most learners are with learning needs, with intellectual disabilities and so forth.
After 45 years of existence, Camphill now prides itself by continuing to produce reliable and hardworking employees who work for various companies across Botswana.
Re hirile bana ba le 2 ka 2017, yo mongwe mo departmenteng tsa food and veg, yo mongwe mo departmenteng tsa hygiene.
Company ya rona ya Treatmail e ne e hirile Kweziba Jacob le Utemba Gile ba ile bana ba ba tswang ko Camphill ile bana le bogole.
As a way of preparing learners to live sustainable lives in their community, there is a specific pre-vocational and support program offered to the youth called the Integrated Learning for Living and Work Program, which is under Otse Wabadire training.
And we place a lot of emphasis on the preparation for that and for supporting that transition from school life into young adult life and independence and community inclusion. So we work on that. In the last year that they're here, they spend quite a lot of time preparing for that with work placements, work attachments, and a much more active involvement with their home and their community to prepare for leaving here.
So within our program, one of the emphasis, which is the core, is to train learners in order to attain skills and knowledge that would allow them to be able to sustain their lives outside the training, particularly in their own communities.
We want to know that as much as our learners are here, but after they graduate, we know that they can have sustainable lives at all. They can be included in the community. They can live any other life like every other person in the community.
The community still, as we speak now, they're not able to accept them as we expect. So we are trying to give them skills so that they can stand and cope with whatever pressure that they might go through when they are in the community.
We try to make our curriculum what one might call a holistic approach to education. So we don't focus primarily or only on academic learning, but we try to look at learning as something that encompasses many different aspects of life.
Otse Wabadire training has 3 areas of learning that are interrelated. One area is personal and social development.
And that relates to being able to look after yourself as a person, to ensure that you live in a way that's hygienic, that you're able to wash and keep yourself clean and clean your clothes and so on, and feed yourself and cook for yourself, but it also relates to your relationships with other people, knowing how to have healthy and safe relationships with other people.
Our learners has to understand if somebody is touching you in an appropriate or inappropriate way. That way they will understand and identify if there is abuse going on. We also have the sexual health unit, whereby we train learners on reproductive health as well as sexual transmitted infections.
And then we have another area of learning which we call functional skills, and that includes all the basic skills of numeracy and literacy, of IT, learning how to use computers and other devices like cell phones, learning how to use an ATM and take money out, and all of those type of basic skills that you need to function as a human being in society.
We are not teaching learners to find how intelligent they are, but rather we are saying we have a program, we want you to exhibit certain competencies, and if you are able to do so, we are able to credit you for your competencies in specific areas, whether it's to do with numeracy. With numeracy, we are saying how functional numbers can be to your life. You don't necessarily have to be able to read and write, but you have to have a conception about numbers. To cite as an example, we teach them understanding of money, that if they are able to recognize 10 pula, it's not so much about counting up to 10, but to know what they can do with something that amounts to 10. It could be in money or whatever.
Ga baithuti ba rona ba fetsa re eletsa gore ba kana le ditiro tse dingwe ba ka di bereka di caterela bokgoni jwa bone ba dirisa dikhomputara jalo jalo. Mo nakong e fetileng re nnile le baithuti ba e leng gore ne re ga ba setse ba attachmenteng mo lenaneong lone la ka kwano e be e le gore kgona gore ba ka attachwa mo di-administrationeng ba kgona go thusa go capture data jalo ba dira dilo tse di farologaneng tse e leng gore di ka dirwa mo administrationeng ka computara. The other thing se leng gore ra se ruta baithuti ka kwano ke go dirisa cell phone ya ka re itse gore ke ngwa dilo tsa technology. Cell phone baithuti ba gantsi ba tla ko lapeng ba sa itse go e dirisa ebile ga gongwe re le batsadi re sa ba e rekele re a ba ka kgona tota. Jaanong ga ba tsena ka kwano gore ba ruta gore ba kgone go communicate independently. Re ba rekela cell phone ra ba e ruta, re ba ruta go itsenyetsa airtime, re ba ruta go araba phone ga ela, re ba ruta go letsa go dirisa phone go letsa. Ba kgona go fela go kgoneng go dirisa SMS.
You could be able to read visually, or you could be able to read and write through pen and pencil. But for our learners who may not necessarily be able to read and write, we still want to teach them literacy. We want them to be literate. For instance, if they go to the road and there are road signs, we want them to be able to understand and know that if I see this road sign, it is telling me to cross or to stop. If I see this road sign, it is telling me that there are oncoming cars. So that's how we enhance literacy skills and reading skills within our program. So most of our learners are able to work out through that.
A lot of what Camphill Community Trust does is geared towards this concept of sustainability.
Sustainable is a word that has many different angles to it, one aspect of that is sustainable from an environmentally and a resource point of view, as I mentioned before, we do try to live and work in a way that is sustainable, in the sense that whatever one is doing, one is trying not to deplete or to make worse the environment and the resources that the place that we've been given to live in.
Within our training, we want to encourage our learners to have an understanding how to take care of the environment. We do not use chemicals to kill pests in our plants. We rather use organic materials, like we produce compost, which we then used to increase soil fertility.
One of the aspects that Camphill values very much is the environment in which they live in, and they try to care for as best as they can. They do a lot of work on the land, orchards, plant propagation units, and so forth.
And we work the land in a way that is based on the principles of organic agriculture, so that we try to work with nature rather than working against nature in the way that we grow things. We make compost out of waste materials, leaves and weeds and other organic matter, which we mix with manure, cow manure or chicken manure to make compost.
So we are also teaching them compost because it's easier and it's not labor intensive. Even learners, as they have graduated staying home, they are able to use what is around them to produce compost, which in a way could assist them to get a little bit of money.
Under vocational skills, Camphill's focus has so far been on horticultural skills, and now the newly accredited course, Catering and Hospitality, offered under Motse Wabadire training, is also destined to greater heights.
We see a greater potential in the future for our learners who would have acquired skills in catering and hospitality, with the hope that they might be able to independently employ themselves through catering through catering programs, or get employment in hospitality industry.
Mo hospitality akaretsa re na le area tse tharo ka ba ruta mo ka ha kitchen le re ba ruta ka ha dining hall e leng gore go mo di hotel re bitsa restaurant le housekeeping.
Ke thuta go seta ditafole le go ithuta go dira hygiene mo school. Ha ke gona ke batla go bereka mo temong.
In relation to their goals, Camphill School has so far been able to place a good number of their graduates at various organizations who are making a positive impact there. One of them is Paki, who is an employee at Pick n Pay supermarket in Lobatse.
Since Paki re kopana, I don't remember the date re kopaneng ka yone. It's le motho e leng gore o na le bokgoni mme a sa itse tiro, mme ke motho e leng gore ke motho o tshwarang ka bonako, ke motho o na le dikeletso tsa go itse gore la bothata ke lebogo se gore a nana le mabogo a mabedi nka ba gona go heta gore a bereka ka motho o na le matsogo a le tshumi.
Mme a ka ntsalo ga I judge gore ke bona le bogole le tsogo le lengwe a le bereka ke motho e le gore o hard worker, he's a hard worker when coming to his job. Ke motho e leng gore wa tle gore o compare le rona ba rantseng hela e be le rona bangwe bana bangwe ba gone department wa ba gaisa mme ena dirisa one hand.
Ke motho o lorato kana o le motho o lorato se go sa go sa bulega gore le a o ira selo mongwe mo wa go amogela ka mo go wena ena gape ke motho o nang a segetse ruri ke gore ke motho wa metlae
ever living ke motho e leng gore o na itumetse ka nako tsotlhe ha ana le mathata his open wa kgona go bua gore ke na mathata 1 2 3 ra go thusa re bete dipele ba gago gore mme ha ana mathata o ka ira jana le jana le jana jana wa cleaner o ka la di customer ha skale sa gago hale
tota ne ra mo lebaganya le skale ka gore skale sone kana o tobetsela o printa mme ke motho o re tang go tshweletsela bona sena le tsogo jana wa tshweletse mme to re Paki se tshweletse tlogela mo ke tla dira mo tla re malekone ke tshwantse gore ke bereke ke tsile ke re ke tsile go bereka tota la ke motho o berekang ka gore ke re ke mona le bogole mme ke motho o tlhaga mo tirong gape a se motho o na le o nkareng o hela pelo ke motho e letsang go itse
gore nna mo tseleng ga ke ipee gore ke motho a bona le bogole ke bereke hela jaaka mongwe le mongwe tirong.
so far tiro ya gagwe e perfect e tshwana le mongwe le mongwe e leng gore o tshotse a siamegela se rona le bogone re mo treata ga staff se mo le seo ga re ke motho o le gore is se bogabe ka kgona go dira 1 2 3 wa ira is perfect.
Kosiba Jacob and Otse are also doing exceptionally well at Grand Palm Hotel, offering various services like garden maintenance under trade mile company.
Maphakela ha ke tsena ke simolla ka go apara protective clothing ke bontfutse le overall le re ha ke tsena phakela ha ke hetsa go apara uniform ya ke tsena mo story mo ke tsa di-tools tse ke di dirisang e bong lefelo reiki le blowing machine ke be ke ya go ke berekelang teng
ya go motho wa dire gare la ke go re e tshwana kwa mme ya kwa e ya kwa ne ke tita ne ke tele garden le go kwala le go bala le go khaleta le go khala grass le computer
ya yena e ngfodisitse go baneng ke kgona go itirela dilo ka bontsi go ithekela ditholetiri yana bo go ipega.
The Employment Support Specialist plays a very critical role of ensuring that learners take part in an attachment program and also facilitates job placements and ongoing support for graduates who are employed.
We do coordinate and help them to be able to find employment and also be able to retain employment in their communities.
The employers are very happy with the products of Camphill.
Unless a lead in gore di a diragala tsa mo tse di personal tsa go magaeng tse di diragala mo le mongwe but ga ke ra ja gore ke motho ga ana mosola kana jang no mo na le mosola
ke batho ba ba siameng thata ga bang ke ba lofa mo tirong ga nke ba ikupa gantsintsi o ikupa o bona gore ke motho e neng gore o ikopela lebaka le leng gore le serious ga nke ba gore ga se batho ba go doja tiro hela o itlhela ba dojitse tiro a sa dira tiro ke batho ba ikanyego tota mo tirong ga ka bene go tsamaya ka nna ke eletsa gore Camphill tota e ka re tisetsa mo.
So we stand very proud and grateful of what we offer in our organization. We know and we believe that whatever is offered to our learners, the moment they go and graduate, they can implement what they have learned in the school, in their lives, in their homes. Some of them now are employees in different organizations. Some of them, they have their own backyard gardens here and there due to the horticulture they have acquired in the school. Some of them are having their small businesses here and there to earn a living for their lives.
The institution continues to enhance what they offer in order to meet their varied needs and make expansions which would enable them to touch many lives across Botswana.
Our biggest area of dreams and vision for the future is to have an impact on special education in the country as a whole and to make a contribution towards developing the availability of good quality, appropriate education for everyone in the country in all the different areas of the country.